Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Wednesday morning. Welcome to Hot Mic on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV. Hello to our friends in Sioux Falls, KMBN in Rapid City. You heard me last night out there with our good friend Nate Brown and everybody at Inforum.com. Happy Hump Day, everybody. We're already in the middle of the week, the 24th day of June. We are boat racing this month here. We got less than a week to go. A week from today is July. You already know how I feel about that. That means we're officially done with summer. Welcome, everybody, to Hot Mic. I am Dom Izzo, host of said show. A lot to get to today. We'll unpack the opening round of the NBA draft, which did not include the Minnesota Timberwolves last night. It did set a record for the amount of freshmen selected right off the hop, which was interesting to see. We'll talk about that coming up in just a little bit. Round 2 is tonight. The Wolves are scheduled to pick 33rd. We'll see if they pick 33rd or not coming up later on. The first of the two major stories that we have been following broke yesterday. The NCAA announcing that they have adopted the age-based eligibility model. That's the fancy way of saying the 5-for-5 model. What we've talked about, I'd say, for over a calendar year is now going to be the law of the land in just a couple of months. And I know it says in the release that it'll affect the class of 2027 for their enroll, but honestly, it starts now. And we'll go through the specifics of it the best I can to explain it to everybody as plainly as I can. I had a bunch of comments. I had a story on last night from interviews that we've done, I would say, over the last 3 months on this topic, whether it was Craig Bohl when he was here, who was I would say, the originator of this. Craig in the American Football Coaches Association, they wanted to do the 5-for-5 model. You'll remember it was a year ago, January. And they were shot down because of the amount of lawsuits that were out there saying this is never going to happen. And now fast forward 18 months later, and it is here. I'm not sure how much of the President's Commission put their thumb on the scales to make this happen, but now it has now become official. That's the first out of the Division I cabinet. The second, we anticipate sometime today, again, if it wants to happen between 9 and 11 a.m., that'd be great, is the decision on the proposal to allow teams transitioning from FCS to FBS football to be immediately postseason eligible. And that obviously involves North Dakota State and Sacramento State. There was nothing that came out yesterday. They have a bunch on their plate, the D1 cabinet, and from what I was told, Matt Larson is a member of said cabinet, that if they weren't going to get it to it yesterday, and the 5-for-5 was a big thing, that was the heavy lifting yesterday, then it's going to come down today. So we have our eyes and ears open, and if anything breaks on that, we're ready to hop on that and pivot in the best way that we can. So that's the latest, and we'll get more on the 5-for-5 stuff coming up later on in the show. We'll also get you set for the United States men's national team's next soccer game. That comes up tomorrow night. It literally means nothing for the United States. They already have everything wrapped up, but we'll give you the specifics on who they could potentially play. That's the entertaining part now, because now we're into the final stage of the group part. Everybody's played 2 matches. Now everyone will play their final match, and how FIFA does it, the organizing body of soccer, to eliminate the gambling part of this, because it used to happen, I don't know, about 20, 25 years ago, where the matches were staggered that, well, one team could technically throw a match to allow another to advance. Now they play the group matches simultaneously in the final quote-unquote match day. So you're going to see today, if you're looking through your guide or seeing it online, that there are 6 matches today, and there's going to be 2 at a time. There's going to be 1 at 2 o'clock, 1 at 5, and 1 at 8, I believe, are the times today, and that will determine the final teams that move on. 32 will move on to the knockout round. The United States is one of them. We'll give you the most up-to-date info we can on that coming up later on in the show. We'll start our 2-hour tour with the Minnesota Twins. And before we get to the highlights of last night's beatdown, which did not go well against the Dodgers, again, a reminder that the Target Field concession workers are on strike. We showed you a little bit yesterday of the struggle it was to get in. You'll see it again from last night's game. You didn't miss an Ohtani home run in the first inning, but still, it's not easy to get into the ballpark right now. And the struggle is real. And there is, tonight, like I said, you better leave now if you want to get into the game. Last night's game was, by the way, a national television broadcast as well. It was on TBS. Victor Caratini hit a home run to tie the game at 1. For some reason, the national packages didn't include the highlight of the night, which I'll have to show later in the show. It's 2-1 here when Byron Buxton gets into one. Austin Martin is thrown out at the plate trying to tie the game. So it remains a 2-1 score. Now 3-2 in the fourth when Freddie Freeman is up. We saw him hit the blast on Monday. This is just a duck snort to center. That's going to score a run and make it a 4-2 LA lead. Later in the inning, here's Mookie Betts up at the plate. By the way, they were doing this against a guy that just got called up to the majors yesterday. The man's name is Austin Voth. If you haven't heard of him, don't feel bad. I don't think anybody else had either, because he got tattooed in his innings of work. Later, here's Freeman up again on the 6th. So this is an RBI double to score Andy Pages. That makes it 6-2. Voth's line last night was just plain gross. Taylor Rogers came in and got roughed up. His ERA will never recover. This ball is absolutely crushed. That's a bomb from Alex Call. That made it 8-2. They're not done in the 9th inning. Pages up. He delivers. I'm not sure if anybody stuck around outside of the many, and I mean many, Dodger fans that were at the game last night. This is the Pages hit. That was Rojas who hit the first one from Miguel Rojas, who was the World Series hero. Had an RBI double. Pages singles. That makes it 10-2. Max Muncy isn't done. He doubles. That scores 2 more. Rogers for his effort last night. 1 inning of work, 5 hits, 5 runs, all of them earned. His ERA is now north of 6. Austin Voth, by the way, here you go. Get called up to get just beat down. 4 innings, 11 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned. Kendry Rojas started. That's because Joe Ryan wasn't feeling well. Ryan's actually going to go tonight. So Derek Shelton pretty much made it up as he went along, and the Dodgers win easily. 12-3 the final to drop Minnesota now 5 games under 500. Again, the crowd, though, last night, 30,117 was the announced attendance at Target Field. So the best crowds of the year have come to see the Dodgers just unload. Tonight, Ohtani pitches. That's why I'm saying if you've got to go, if you are lucky enough, you have tickets tonight, knowing full well that it's a struggle bus to get into the stadium, get there early. They're actually opening the gates a half hour earlier than normal in anticipation of a large crowd, knowing that he's pitching. That'll be on the TV tonight for me. I get the glimpses of the Twins basically through highlights on my phone, and if they're playing somebody of note, then I'll watch. I did not last night, and because the one highlight, we'll find it because it's a brain-numbing play that happened in the second inning last night. That after that, everything went downhill from there. So Ohtani and Ryan, that's a good matchup tonight at Target Field. All right, last thing before we get going on our sailboat here today. The NBA draft was last night in New York City. And I get it for the average sports fan to have this on at the end of June. Maybe it's a way to pass the time. I'm not sure if even the hardcore Minnesota fans were interested last night because the Wolves didn't have a pick after the trade Monday night of Julius Randle to the Brooklyn Nets, which they also sent the 28th pick. Along with that, Minnesota was left out. Tim Connolly did visit with the media last night saying they were trying to make some moves. Nothing came of it. So they sat out last night. The rest of the league did not, though. The Washington Wizards had the number 1 pick. They did not waver in taking A.J. DeBansta with the number 1 pick out of BYU, who wanted to be the number 1 pick. He was the number 1 high school player. You'll remember a couple of years ago. He, of course, signed with BYU, had a dynamite freshman campaign, and he is now a Washington Wizard. I will get to that in a second because the Wizards may have something going here, which is odd to say out loud. We have the biggest Wizards fan I know coming in studio tomorrow. Can ask him about that. Then Darren Peterson from Kansas, who's had obviously some injury concerns. He wanted to be number 1. He didn't visit with the Utah Jazz. The Jazz took him with the 2nd overall pick. Another freshman. As we mentioned, the first 8 picks all were freshmen yesterday in the first round of the draft. That's how 1 and 2 went. After that, Duke's Cameron Boozer went 3rd overall. He went to the Memphis Grizzlies. Caleb Wilson, who some think might be the best player in this draft out of North Carolina, went to Chicago. Keaton Wagler, who was the great freshman for Illinois. His story is crazy. He was buried recruiting-wise and goes to Illinois, has an unbelievable freshman campaign for the Illini. He's now the 5th overall pick to the Clippers. Mikel Brown from Louisville goes to Brooklyn. Darius Acuff Jr. from Arkansas, what a fabulous point guard he is. He goes to Sacramento. Kingston Flemings goes to the Atlanta Hawks out of Houston. Then we saw the run of Michigan. By the way, Dusty May, now the new head coach of the Dallas Mavericks, took one of his former guys. Morez Johnson Jr. went number 9 overall to Dallas. Bennett Sturtz, another name to know, out of Iowa. He goes to Memphis. And again, I'll lament this, and I know I'm piling on here, but the amount of people complain about it now should reach critical mass that the amount of trades we had, the guys wearing the hats that they're not actually going to play for. Like Joshua Jefferson was drafted last night, put on a Timberwolves hat. He doesn't play for Minnesota. He's a Brooklyn Net. Even as I'm looking at it here on ESPN's site, we have it right in our graphic. What you're seeing on television is absolutely correct. But I'm looking at it on ESPN's site. They have Jefferson being drafted by Minnesota, which is not correct. Sturtz actually, as that pick was traded to Oklahoma City, so Sturtz will be a member of the Thunder. They flipped with Memphis. That was the part of the draft I was like, all right, it's overload here. LeBaron Philon was the other one that the Wolves were had in for a visit. He actually went 22nd overall to the 76ers. So that's round 1. A couple other names to know. Alex Caravan, the big man from Connecticut. Great player. He went 29th overall. He's going to Sacramento. So that's round 1. Round 2 today. We'll see if Tim Connolly will make some deals here after what happened on Monday. The Wolves were talked about quite frequently, knowing, especially after the Randall deal, and if you want to be, I don't even think it's negative. You want to be, just think of it as this is reality, what went down in the Karl Anthony Towns trade now. The Wolves got Dante DiVincenzo out of that. And you're going to tell me, oh, they got a first-round pick. But, yeah, that first-round pick just went sailing off with Julius Randle to Brooklyn. That's the – and you could have signed Nickeil Alexander-Walker last offseason. Nah ended up being the most improved player in the league. I was a huge fan of him. I think a lot of Timberwolves fans enjoyed what he did, especially coming in the trade from Utah. But that's what it is right now. They traded Cat for Dante DiVincenzo. Cat goes and wins an NBA championship. Randall, they let go for basically nothing. and Dante's hurt for basically the entire year. That's a tough beat. That is tough to explain. It's tough to you can say all you want. Okay, they've got plenty of cap room. They've got this trade exception for $33 million. Okay, but on the surface right now, and they went through it, the national analyst did last night. Obviously, Andrew Wiggins was traded. He won a championship with Golden State. That deal did not go over. That was not a good trade for the Wolves. And because that one brought back, oh gosh, I have to look it up. That was a bad deal. And now this, you could say what you want. I think the Gobert deal has been fine. I was critical of it when it went down. The trade has been fine. But you look at the long range of it here, the Cat deal, yikes right now. We have a action-packed show coming up for you here on this Wednesday morning. Our guest lineup is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Our guy Drew Trafton is back from the Pacific Northwest and back with from Uncle Sam's Army. He was at the U.S. men's national team game on Friday in Seattle. Get his recap of that and then look ahead. The U.S. men now are in position. They can maybe do something. I did not foresee that happening. We'll get his thoughts on everything of the World Cup coming up in just a few minutes. At 10 o'clock, we're going to go to Hazeltine National Golf Course in Chaska. The LPGA Championship begins tomorrow. Detroit Lakes native Kate Smith-Stroh is in the event. She's the only Minnesotan playing in the major. She will join us from the golf course. We've taken our show everywhere. We have been numerous countries. We've been on different golf courses. This might be the best golf course that we've ever done an interview from. Kate's going to join us during her practice round coming up this morning at 10 o'clock. And at 10:35, Summit League Commissioner Josh Fenton will join the program. I was out last week. I don't know if Sam talked about it or not, that the league announced it is re-upping with Midco for another couple years, and also its commitment with CBS Sports Network to continue televising regular season basketball and the conference tournament. We'll get Josh's thoughts on that deal and also what's going on with the tournament. I'm interested in that. Now, knowing come a week from today, the Summit League is back to 8. Does the league just have everybody play in the quarterfinals, no buys? We'll see if there's a decision on that. And we'll field a couple more questions as well for Mr. Fenton coming up at 10:30. He's also got 2 positions now to replace. Deputy Commissioner has left the league. Our guy, Ryan Powell, congrats to RP, who doesn't have to trip anymore at the Summit League basketball tournament, one of our favorite moments of the year. Now is heading back to Grand Forks to be working up at UND. So we'll talk with Josh about a bunch of topics at 10:35. That and a heck of a lot more here on a busy Wednesday. We'll take our first break. We come back. Your World Cup update from a man who was actually at the World Cup. That's the best way to get it. Hot Mic is off and rolling. We're back after this on WDAY Extra, KSFL TV, KMBN, and Inforum.com.
The biggest Seahawks, Sounders, and Mariners fan in the FM area. It's time for Views with Drew.
Well, here he is, back from the World Cup.
Back. Yeah.
It's great to see you.
Barely made it. Thanks.
Did you have a blast?
Oh, it was amazing. It was a truly like a joyous experience. And FIFA does, I think a lot's been made about how, like expensive the tickets are.
Well, we talked about that. We talked about that like 6 months ago.
Yeah,
when this is coming.
I didn't realize that you're not just buying a game ticket. It's an experience, and it's from the moment like we stepped off public transit. We rode public transit down there. The second we stepped off the train, there were FIFA volunteers everywhere, and they were just like, here you go. And it was just they keep everything moving at an efficient level. It was the most efficient sporting event I've ever been to before. Like
that's
the
saying
ticketing
something
process
because you've been to some major sporting events.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, it was like just you're in the door fast. They get you through security fast. They get you through every single line fast. I mean, it was like they make sure that fans are taken care of and entertained. It was like the best analogy is like it's like the Disneyland of sports. Like I mean, they put on a show and it's just really awesome.
And the best part was the United States won.
Yeah. Yeah, we played so well. I mean, and it was watching them play in person. You get this like they were the better team. And that I think that was pretty evident from the get go. Both their games so far, they're just superior from a tactic standpoint, but also like the confidence they're playing with is something that like is real. It's something that soccer fans can see. It's something that non-soccer fans can see, that they control it and they know who they are. They have an identity out there, which was something that we didn't know they were going to have.
No.
And we had no clues that they were going to have that well-defined of like a shape of an attack, of just like level-headedness on defense. Like there were no clues there that was going to be the case.
No,
and it all came together.
We were getting our butts kicked in prelims, and we talked about that. I know in March we did it. I think in February, like we're getting blown out.
Yeah.
Like this is not good.
No.
And lo and behold, the Paraguay. We haven't talked since the first game, the Paraguay match where they score 4. Like okay, I know they're not Argentina, but
Right.
still, for us to do that is unheard of in men's soccer. And then they followed up.
Yes.
They've not won 2 World Cup matches back to back since 1930.
And to do it the way they've done it,
96 years.
Yes, and we've done it with our best player
Pulisic didn't play.
playing a quarter of the minutes so far, and he will play a sixth of the minutes by the time
He's
we
not
hit the
playing
knockouts.
tomorrow night.
I doubt he will, unless they just wanted to get him like kind of
Why would you
some
do
touches.
that? Yeah, I don't know why you do that.
Unless he's 100%, they're not going to do that. But he played that first 45 minutes he played against Paraguay, where they scored 3 goals and a half.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable.
Pretty good. Yep.
He was so sharp. Like I don't know if he's going to be a problem if he's playing like that, against anyone.
Before I want to show some of the photos you sent me of you being there. Do we feel weird at all that a couple of our goals have been own goals? Is that something we feel like it's kind of cheap, or like, hey, we take whatever we can get?
So I think that those were both the result of just an immense amount of pressure building up in the final third. And I think if you've played, the feeling. In other sports, you have this too, where when you're defending like that and your back's to your goal, you get this tunnel vision, or you're so distracted. You have to be so aware that you're not aware of the things going on behind you, and it's chaos. So to me, that's more of a signifier of like immense success.
Okay,
because you do it once, and those things happen, right?
Yep.
Even though that first one didn't look like it was an accident either, but to do it 2 matches in a row, that's just like pressure coming straight at you. Yeah, it's great.
I'm not going
to
to feel cheap about it then that we got 2 of them that way. Let's show first off the first photo we're going to show. This is where you actually were sitting.
Yeah.
In the mat. These are fantastic seats. First off,
it was
holy
incredible.
cow!
Yeah,
Did you know this before you got there?
Yeah, we knew where we were sitting.
Holy cow, man.
And that was the end where both goals were scored.
If you're sitting here for a Seahawks game, I mean, you're right there.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man.
That's a wider angle of it too. Like it was just an incredible vantage point.
What was the weather, by the way?
It was like 73 and like still.
Like
it was
perfect day for in Seattle.
It was
ever.
perfect. Yeah.
And then here's the fam.
Yep, this is the group that I went with. So my brother Nolan and Kyle are there. Nolan's in the Waldo outfit, complete with hat. He was the most famous. Like he was on. We walked through the gates, and the Fox National crew got a shot of him right away. People were coming up to him asking for pictures, like Aussie fans, U.S. fans.
That's awesome.
Went to a Mariners game later that night. He was on the jumbotron
dressed like
8
that?
times. Yeah. It was hilarious. It was like people. Yeah, he was pausing for pictures with kids, and it was hilarious.
Good. That's fantastic.
And then both my parents are there too, and it was so special. It was just like to share that with them. We've all played growing up. My parents took us to every game practice. My dad coached us. My mom worked on the booster clubs. And so it was just like to have that.
That's awesome.
It was
man.
It was a little emotional actually. Like when we sat down in our seats, like we're here. And it was so surreal to be like, we're at a World Cup game. And they make it feel like it the whole time.
In Seattle, of all places,
in
too.
Seattle, which is a super special place for us, anyway.
Yep.
So it was really
That's cool. I appreciate you sharing that. That's really, really neat. All right, now to the brass tacks here, because I posed this to you before this even got going of like, what are the chances of us advancing? We don't have to worry about I don't even know how to process this, so we don't have to worry about that tomorrow night. So we've already won the group.
We have.
So for people watching at home, there's a match today that actually we should be following, correct?
So this is a match where as long as there's not a draw, we are guaranteed to play the winner of this match in the round of 32.
Bosnia and Qatar,
yes.
correct? Okay.
So if one of those teams wins, that's our round of 32 opponent. Guaranteed.
Okay.
That's like the simplest way to think about it. After that, it gets really
So
complicated.
if they tie though, then it becomes
like a soup of like where we could play Algeria, we could play Ecuador, Ivory Coast.
I don't like any of those matchups.
No, like I mean, it's so like we really want someone
winner.
to win
We want a winner
today. Like that'd be really nice because that's a great
Are
draw.
those two teams incentivized to win? And what I mean by that is like if they tie, are they out?
Well, yeah. There's a possibility where the one of them will get matrixed out of the round of 32. So yeah, absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. Like you don't want to have it where we're going to lay back because we know that we're advancing.
Yep.
No, we want to have some incentive.
Yes.
Hey, we have to score to win the game.
Yeah, and I mean,
keep
I
us
think
alive
even like and you hear a lot about that. Like what are certain teams going to do? But even like Turkey, who the United States will play tomorrow, they're playing for pride at this point, and like
'cause they're already
winning.
out.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so like
Yep.
winning a World Cup game,
There's
is
something
huge.
to that. Yep.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I've seen a couple of them where we won 0. So the fact that we've won 2 already is I don't even know what to do with myself on this.
And I think like there's just that constant pessimism of like the U.S. and you see this with other nations too. England yesterday against Ghana.
Yeah.
Ecuador, Curacao. Like all of these. Cape Verde and Spain, where it's like you can play down to your competition, and the U.S. does that a lot of the time in the World Cup. In previous World Cups, you'll see like because it's a slog. It's tough, even for the world's best. It's tough, and you have to pace yourself, and it's a marathon. It's not a horse race, and that's a pain point for U.S. sports fans that don't like ties and don't like all this. But you can't look at the World Cup as one game at a time. It's part of a larger thing.
Well, wait till we get to the knockout round and we start having penalties to decide the match, and it's not we're just going to play till we have a winner.
Yeah.
Then the average sporting public is going to lose their collective minds.
Yes.
Like, this is how you
so
decide it.
It's like a coin flip.
Yes,
and
this
it kind
is how,
of is, but
how it works.
Yeah.
There's 2 other things I wanted to hit on before we go. First, the amount of stardom that is playing out of its mind. Messi is unbelievable, and he has been for 15 years, and yet he's doing it
again
now.
Yes.
Mbappe has been fantastic.
So good.
Erling Haaland we showed yesterday from Norway, who I've known since he's in the Premier League, but he plays for Norway. They weren't even at the last World Cup.
Right.
And then Ronaldo does what he did yesterday. So it's not even like the unnamed guys you never heard of. These are the 4 best soccer players in the world now.
And they're all having
playing out of their minds.
tournaments. But Messi doing that at the age of 39 when he's playing against people who are literally half his age, and still like dominating the way he has. Like it's like the equivalent of watching Barry Sanders in his prime with the field vision that Barry had, like just able to break out and like find these like holes that no one else sees. That's watching Messi as a soccer fan. Like he finds, and his teammates are so good at just like letting balls through, and like unless you see it in person or like you don't understand how difficult that is just to lay off some of those and like know what's happening with the noise around you. It's just like what he's doing is unprecedented. And I was hoping that from a U.S. fan's perspective, knowing that Argentina is very much in our path, that team would look old, and they don't.
look like they could win this thing again.
They're like the Terminator right now. It's just like you do, like that's a buzzsaw you do not want to face.
So 2 other things here. I know you were in the submarine last week, so I don't know if you saw the story of Fox complaining that ESPN wasn't doing enough with the World Cup.
Yeah.
That to me is hilarious.
Yes.
Because first off, Fox, what are you worried about? If you do your thing.
Yes.
Don't worry about
it's
and the fact,
World
by the way,
Cup.
they don't let ESPN or any affiliate, like we're limited to the amount we can show here on a local affiliate, let alone what the Nationals can do.
Yeah.
So if you want to change that, that's on you to make it a better deal for others to cover. Now, I watch ESPN is background noise to me. It just is. It's out of my office. It's on. I know Greenberg's show has done parts of it. It's on during SportsCenter, and I don't watch a ton of SportsCenter anymore. But I just find it hilarious that you're not covering this enough. It's hilarious
and it's
to
like
me.
that's that's the organization that could win the contract back, and they've
that's the other thing I want to bring up, because how is Netflix going to do this next year with the Women's World Cup?
Yeah.
That was brought up by some sports media types yesterday, and I thought, boy, that's a good point.
It is a good point.
Because the one thing I'd say, and I said it yesterday on the show, with the game times, you can't miss it.
Right.
It's been at noon, 3, 7, or even 10 o'clock at night. Like, man, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, and the way
I don't know how Netflix does that.
Right, and the way these host cities have like pumped it up.
Totally.
Like, just from my experience
Yeah,
in
I've
Seattle,
seen
it
it.
was everywhere.
Yeah.
Like you step off the plane, you can't ignore it. There are constant messages. It's all over the news. Like it's and that'll create viewership in and of itself too. In those metro areas. But when the tournament's not in the United States,
Right.
and it's on Netflix, like it's going to be
Because
tough.
the Men's World Cup TV rights are up for after this one. And that's going to be a expensive property.
Yep.
That is not it's not Olympic level, but it's pretty darn close.
It's pretty darn close. And there's a good chance that if they can get if they bid out 3 or 4 cycles of
Do we
World
know where
Cups.
2030 is yet?
That one, I think we do. I can't remember where it.
Eric, if you look that up for us.
That one's going to be Spain and Portugal.
Oh, okay.
But there's
so that's 6 hours,
Yep.
6 to 7 hours ahead of us.
there's a very real possibility that the United States could have it again in 2038, and so that's
an expensive property then to have.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you're probably buying this next round of TV
Yeah,
rights with that
for
in
that,
mind.
and that's why NBC, like to put it for the Olympic terms, why they wanted 2028 so badly and then they end up getting the Winter Games in 34 to have 2 U.S. hosted Olympic Games is
in prime
monstrous.
time.
Right.
And
Exactly.
Yes.
All right. So we are guaranteed a week from today is the knockout stage. That's the game. July 1 and that's in Santa Clara, if I remember
Santa
right,
Clara,
at
yep.
the home of the 49ers.
The U.S. is going to play in Santa Clara. If they win that, they'll play in Seattle again, and then they'll go back to SoFi, I think, if they keep going.
So
at that
okay,
point.
so that's pretty good. You don't have to leave the West Coast,
Right.
and then
Yeah,
I
it's
think their
huge.
semifinal would be in Dallas. If I saw that. Now
yeah,
we're
something
getting
like
crazy,
that.
preposterous now.
That'd be.
So the pathway could be Bosnia or Qatar.
Yep.
Then I saw it potentially is Belgium out of it now since
No,
they draw.
They could still win the group.
See, Belgium's not what they were.
no,
like
they
I used to be
haven't been playing
afraid
well.
of them. We can maybe beat them.
Yeah, actually, I saw a guy who does simulations actually gives the edge to the United States in that
That's
game now.
preposterous to say that out
Yeah,
loud.
but it could be Belgium,
then-
it could be Egypt, which would be an
Okay.
okay draw. Like you have Mo Salah there, but Egypt's a beatable team.
And then after that, it'd be like one of the top 8 then,
Argentina,
like Germany,
or Spain, or
okay.
yeah. That's when you have to start beating the big dogs, and eventually, I mean, like that's the thing.
Okay, if we make it there, I'm
That's
beyond.
huge. Like,
I'm
making
beyond
a quarterfinal is
pleased on that.
great with
Yes.
this group, but the way they're playing. Like
Yeah.
you can't discount the way they're playing. Like like
It's gonna be
a
wild.
huge team has a bad day, and the U.S. has the crowd
Yeah.
behind them, and they've shown like they play well. If they keep playing well, and they know who they are, you can't count them out.
Yeah.
Like we've seen crazier things happen. I'm not saying they're going to win.
No.
the
Yeah.
cup, but we've seen crazier things happen in sports.
So last thing, downtown, they've had watch parties, which have been crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're doing it tomorrow night. It's a 9:00 start, but I'm really interested
Yeah.
if they do,
Yeah.
what that
What that
crowd
could
is
look
going to be
like,
like,
yeah.
considering this doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. We've been to a couple. You and I have
Yeah.
gone to some of these, which
They're
have been
fun.
pretty
Yeah.
well attended,
Yeah.
but we haven't done one in the middle of the summer and at night when it's still daylight, because, I mean, it's not getting dark till 9:45 or 10 o'clock
You're
around
there by
here.
11:30, 11:45. It's doable, like I
My
think
gosh.
maybe.
I did not
Yeah.
anticipate having this conversation with you
I
about
know.
the United
It's-
States being already locking up the group is crazy. I'm glad you had an awesome time. Thanks for sharing that with us, and enjoy the match tomorrow, and we'll do
Thanks.
this again
You
next
too.
week.
Yeah,
all right,
looking forward to it.
Drew Trafton
Knockouts.
back from Seattle after giving the United States a 2-0 win over Australia, and they play tomorrow night. Turkey, that's at 9:00 on Fox to wrap up the group stage. Let's break. We come back. We got a bunch of emails in. We'll try to explain as best we can what the new eligibility rules mean for the NCAA. We'll do that on the other side of the break. Hot Mic rolls on. We're back after this.
This is Hot Mic with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We went along there with Drew, but got carried away with the fact that we're good in soccer, which is just impossible to say. This, by the way, as we're talking about the draft earlier, Shams reporting this on ESPN just a few moments ago. Memphis, like the Knicks at number 31, are actively fielding offers to move the number 32 pick for night 2 of the draft, per sources. So picks 31 and 32 are up for auction in trades around the NBA, with future assets being proposed. That is relevant because the Wolves are at 33. So we'll see what happens there. There's still some really good players that are available on the board, and see with Minnesota. Tim Conley likes to be active. There's no doubt on that. Okay, now to the big story that went down yesterday out of the Division I cabinet from the NCAA, one of the many bureaucracies that they have and committees and subcommittees. The D1 cabinet is probably the biggest one. They are the ones setting the language and the rules for what college sports works with. And yesterday they dropped their biggest one they ever had because they are changing an eligibility model that has been around for decades to adapt to a new model in anticipation of basically under unbearable weight and the pressure that's come over the last few years over lawsuits tied to eligibility. Now, the past model, for people that either don't know or get confused on it, how it is always been phrased to me and how I understand is you have a 5-for-4 model. You have 5 years to play 4. Right, with a red shirt taken into account in there. And all of that got mucked up, best way I can say it, is when COVID hit and the NCAA then decided to give a blanket free year to everybody beginning in the fall of 2020. That season did not count. And then you had some wild rides happening after that where we talked about it here locally where you had some Bison football players that are going to play 70-some-odd games. Like Braylon Henderson may have the all-time record out of himself now with this new rule coming into pass that he played in 74 football games at North Dakota State. His career went from 2019 to 2024. That is a long time to be playing. And you had crazy stories of 6th or 7th or 8th, or heck, there was a Miami football player that was in his 9th year of eligibility. And we've seen it play out constantly over the last few months of that a guy wants to keep playing, he's going to go to a favorable judge, get that overturned, and you're eligible to play. This originated by Craig Bohl, and he spoke to us about it when he was here in April, was to after the House settlement was going to limit roster sizes. Remember, they're now down to 105 starting this year for anybody that opted in, and those guys would be, weeded out over time that were grandfathered in, that this is a way to basically expand the rosters by allowing a 5th year. So this is the eligibility model that has now been signed off and how it'll work. Eligibility will now start on either your college enrollment, when you decide you enroll, that your clock then begins, or for college hockey players and other sports that delay their enrollment, after when you turn 19 years old, the semester following that would be when your enrollment clock begins. So that's important to note, because originally it was upon high school graduation, the original proposal was. That got tweaked by the college hockey powers that be, because there are obviously players that go to junior hockey after high school graduation, play a year there, and then enroll. UND has had that time and time again if you follow that sport. So that's the biggie part of this. What this means, there are no more red shirts. There's no more medical hardships. There's no more any delaying of, like we've had it in the past in football where, well, a guy played 4 games, we can't even play a 5th because then it would waste his year. That is all gone now. So starting in the fall of 2027, when freshmen arrive on campus, their clock is officially underway. That is the age-based model that they're now using. For students that are already enrolled, right, ones that are coming back, they are going to use, and I say they, the school will use the model that gives the athlete the most amount of eligibility. So whether that's the age-based model, this one that you're seeing on your screen, or the pass model, which gets a little confusing, and I'll explain that in a second. Lastly, no past athletes are getting grandfathered in. So ones that graduated last month, and we saw this happen in March, right, or a rash of guys in basketball put their names in the portal with the hope that they were going to get an extra year because this was being talked about. That is not going to happen. So if you graduated, you're done. Your time, we're sorry, but we have to put as Matt Larson told me, we have to put a starting date on this somewhere, and this is where it's going to be. Now, for the athletes that are already enrolled, let's just take, for example, a guy like Nathan Hayes, North Dakota State's starting quarterback. He redshirted in the fall of 2022. So this is his 5th year starting this fall. He will not get another year. That is not how that works. Now, that is already being contested. There are lawsuits being filed all over. These are more the lawsuits being filed by athletes that have had their eligibility exhausted. There's already a couple of basketball players that are among 15 athletes who have filed a lawsuit against the NCAA in the wake of the NCAA approving the age-based eligibility model. The injunction is set to let players play this upcoming year. From the suit, the NCAA plans to intentionally exclude all current college seniors who graduated high school in 2022 and have not redshirted. That decision violates the covenant of good faith and fair dealing under, at least this one, Ohio law. So that is what you need to know on the backstory of that. Now, if you did not redshirt, let's say you entered college in the fall of 2023, and two players on your screen right there, Avery Coonan being one, Abby Kraswinski another. They arrived in the fall of 2023 and played right away. Then they would get another year under that model, because they have played 3 seasons, right? 23, 24, and 25. This is the fall of 26 would be her 4th year. She would get a 5th year based on this model. Whether she spends it at North Dakota State or somewhere else, that's a whole other conversation we could have. But under these new eligibility rules, she would get another year. Abby Kraswinski would get another year. Another guy you saw in that video, Jackson Williams, who played as a true freshman in 2024, right? This is his junior season, his 3rd year in 26. Not only we get next season, he would get the fall of 2028 to play somewhere, whether it's here or somewhere else. That is important to know, simply because for coaches out there recruiting now, well, wait a minute. So we could have these 2 players and we already have their scholarships slotted for somewhere else. That's conversations that now coaches, compliance has to have with their teams and their athletes. That's important to know for the returners. But if you have redshirted already, your eligibility is done after this year. If you were hoping Bison fans that Nathan Hayes may have 2 years to be the starting quarterback, that is not going to be the case here. I got a bunch of emails. I'm going to try and answer as many as we can on this particular topic. Dom, with the 5-for-5 ruling, does it mean a new freshman football player can play for 5 years instead of just 4? Yes, it does. So the guys that we've talked to for the class of 2027, right, the ones that are going to sign officially in December, when they enroll, that means their clock starts and they've got 5 years. Now, if you get hurt, you get a season-ending injury. Braylon Tolliver, it's a great example. The freshman running back out of Colorado that got hurt and will have his season ended because he tore his ACL during spring ball, right? He is going to have to use a year of eligibility. He's not going to get that back. He'll have 4 years after this to play. So guys that used to have I think of Nick DeLuca, the great Bison linebacker, that in 2016, which would have been his senior season because he played as a true freshman in 13, he played only 3 games. If Bison fans will remember this, it was a decade ago. Gosh, I'm old. He played that last game against Iowa. He played it on one shoulder. He was great in that game, in the Iowa game. Ended up having shoulder surgery that following Monday and was done for the season. But because under those old rules, he only played 3 games. He played less than 75% of North Dakota State's games. He got that year back because of a medical hardship, because he had played as a true freshman. All of that lingo, we don't need to know anymore. That is all outdated now. There's no more hardships. There's no more red shirts. It's simply, boom, you get 5 starting the fall of 27. We still got to dance around it a bit for players that are in school now. But for the incoming freshmen of the class of 2027, you get 5. I'm not sure what we call those athletes anymore. Are they super seniors? We're going to have to come up with a term for them, but that's the new language of what's going on. Yes, there are lawsuits going to happen, and you've already heard me talk about a couple that have been filed. More could potentially be coming, but that's the new letter of the law. It'll be officially signed off. It was unanimously approved on yesterday by the cabinet. There was no dissenting votes. This is happening. And it'll become the letter of the law later today. So that's how it'll now work for those that are going to follow college athletics. And what the powers that be would really want now is the one-time transfer to stop movement. I'm not in favor of that. I've always been in favor of the athletes getting as much as they could and not limiting their movement. They want to move 4 times, that's on them, right? I've never been a fan of that. But that would be the last part of this, because I think Justin Sell talked to us about this when he was on with us last month, of getting the NIL part under control and then getting the one-time transfer on top of the eligibility part. Then they've got something to work with. As it is, this is the first part that is now under control. Feel free to keep sending comments in. We'll get to as many as we can as the show rolls on. We're overdue for a break here. We'll get caught up. We'll wrap up our first hour. Mention we're heading to Hazeltine coming up in hour 2 and much more. Hot Mike rolls on a Wednesday morning. We're back after this. All right, fast-moving first hour is in the books here for us. Looking forward to coming up here at hour 2. We're heading to Hazeltine National Golf Course in Chaska. The LPGA Championship gets going coming up tomorrow. Kate Smith-Stroh from Detroit Lakes will join us from the course when hour 2 of Hot Mike begins. We'll do it right after this.
This is Hot Mike with Dom Izzo, presented by Northwestern Mutual.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Hour 2, ready to rock and roll here on a Hump Day Wednesday. Josh Fenton, Commissioner of the Summit League, will join us in about a half hour's time. We've got a big golf tournament. Obviously, we're televising starting on Friday. We'll be live out at Moorhead Country Club for the Bell Bank Red River Amateur Championship. Looking forward to another year of bringing that home. That is not the only major golf tournament that's happening around the area this weekend. Tomorrow, the LPGA Championship will begin down the road at Hazeltine National Golf Course in Chaska. There is one Minnesotan in the field. We've known her for the better part of a decade and a half. Detroit Lakes native Kate Smith-Stroh is in the field, and for the second time I think we were doing this, we're interviewing her on the actual golf course, which is my favorite part. She's actually just wrapped up part of her practice round at Hazeltine, and she joins us this morning. It's great to see you. How you been?
Good. Thanks for having me. It's good to keep having reasons to talk to you, so thanks for having me.
So this has got to be like beyond surreal. Minnesota kid, I know you've played there before. The chance to play a major championship at Hazeltine. Describe what this week is like for you.
Yeah, it's really special. I mean, professional golf, there's a lot of ups and downs, and so this is one where I hope, I can make it a great week no matter what I shoot with my friends and family. So it's special, and, it's a major, and also just the venue is incredible. So it's not any venue. It's Hazeltine, it's a memorable venue. So
how old were you the first time you played there?
Probably 14 or 15. So it's been a decade maybe since I've been, I spectated a few events here, but I haven't played it in a long time.
All right. So when you played it there, and we already know it's a tough golf course, what do you remember about playing it for the first time?
I remember it was just a big golf course. I felt like it was way too big of a golf course for me at 15, and it was a good walk, and it's a tough test. So it's still a test, but I'm glad I've got some more experience this time around.
So you were telling me off air, you're first off the tee tomorrow. Is that good thing, bad thing, no thing about that for tomorrow morning?
Yeah, there definitely be a little bit of nerves just being the first tee ball, but fresh greens in both waves, and I've got a comfortable pairing, so I'd say a lot of good things with being first off.
We haven't talked in a while since I think you got your card. So tell us about last year, how it went, and where things are at right now in the middle of 2026.
Yeah, rookie year was awesome. I learned a lot. It was so much fun traveling the world. I was 118 on points, top 100, kept full status. So I carried over partial status to this year, and I've been splitting my time on both tours. So this year's been a tough year. It's been hard to kind of be on the road a little bit more and, focus on two different areas. But I've been getting better, and I think good golf's ahead. So I'm excited that I got this opportunity and this start in this field this week. It'll help my season.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think you had a top 10 earlier in March. How much did that boost things? Like, okay, it's there. I just got to harness it for 4 days.
Yeah. I've had a couple of good finishes on Epson Tour this year, so that made me feel good. Shooting good scores always makes you feel like the work you're putting in is there. So just kind of need to see it on this stage, like you said, for 4 days in an LPGA field. And it's I'm 5 years into playing professional golf, but only second year on the LPGA. So I'm kind of a rookie, have some experience. So just trying to get those reps under my belt.
Well, I think, Kate, we know how difficult it is to do this professionally. You're living it. Just to describe how much more of it is it a mental challenge than it is anything else?
Yeah, it is a challenge. I say because, you're not sleeping in your own bed. You're not seeing your husband, your parents, whatever. So when you play bad, it's kind of just you, and you got to figure out how to pick yourself up and go to work the next day. No one's telling me to go practice the next day, but the best in the world, they're putting in a lot of hours, and that's where I want to be. So it's a lot of hard work, but it's so fun. I mean, you can't. Looking where I am today on Hazeltine, I can't complain.
So how did this come about of being eligible to play in this event?
Yeah, definitely kind of lucked out. I wrote a letter in February to KPMG just to say, hey, it's my home state. My dad's a PGA member. I'd love to play in the field, knowing I had limited starts. It would be hard to qualify off of points. I found out a week ago that they were going to give me the spot. There's 2 sponsor exemptions. So I'm just really grateful for the PGA and the KPMG to say, hey, this is pretty good story, and that I deserve the spot in the field. So
how did they tell you? Is it a phone call, an email? How did you find out?
It was an email. It was an email on Monday, and it kind of all my plans changed. I was like, all right, everybody get some hotels in Chaska because we're going to Hazeltine.
What was that like to open that? I can't even imagine what your emotion was like.
Yeah, I was on the golf course playing, and I kind of was in shock. So, it's really special. I think it's going to be a week I really cherish.
So to do this, especially, I believe you're the only Minnesotan in the field. How more important is that for you as well, that you're back home and you're the only one representing the state?
Yeah, it's really special. There's not a lot of us from the Midwest out here. And so it means a lot. There's so many good junior golfers in the state, and I'd like to keep showing them that the pathway is there to the tour and to play professional golf, even though we have a short season.
So breaking news, Detroit Lakes won the state championship again in girls golf, which you did that 5 times over. What does that mean where those girls were watching, they were young when you were playing? What does that mean? You're a role model to them.
It's really special. It's a really talented group of girls they have right now. I think they could be some of the best golfers out of DL. So I hope they keep plugging. I remember some of them when they were 6, 7, 8, 9 years old with a lot of talent. So it's really exciting. I'm glad that the culture, the boys team had a great year as well. So, Pine to Palm and everything they're doing for junior golf up there, I'm glad it's continuing.
So give us the lowdown today. You were telling me off air, you've already played 9 holes. What's the plan for today to get ready for an early day tomorrow?
Yeah, we were first off at 7. We played the back 9. For those of you that know Hazeltine, there's a couple challenging holes out there, so we wanted to get a second look on those, and then gonna do a little bit of practice and get some rest and try to go to bed early for that 7 a.m. tee time. So Wednesday before isn't too big of a deal. Just kind of getting a couple reps, but mostly rest and trying to kind of get your mind relaxed before the big day.
Is it stressful? Is this a restless night to sleep, or no? You sleep like a baby tonight.
I think I'll be tired. I might be worn out, but it's definitely. I mean, teeing it up for everybody is a little stressful in golf, let alone in front of a big crowd. So there will be some of that, but I think there will be so much adrenaline, and you kind of just feed off the good, and it'll get you through kind of the tougher moments.
Kate Smith-Stroh joining us from Detroit Lakes at Hazeltine National Golf Course. She'll play in the KPMG LPGA Championship starting tomorrow. So you find out, does everybody come out of the woodwork saying, hey, I need a ticket? How did that go last week?
Yeah, I've given a lot of tickets to my friends, those that are in the cities, and it's been fun. I've already recognized a lot of the volunteers on the range, and so it's really nice, and I think it'll be just fun to have some people cheering for my shots out there. So, yeah, it's really great.
I texted with your dad this morning. He told me he was on his way there. I know how tight your relationship is. What is that like knowing he's going to be walking all 18 with you?
Oh, it's really special. I think just having him be the one that introduced me to the game, and he puts in some long hours traveling to my events, and sometimes, I play poorly and he drives home, so it's like nice we get to celebrate the good moments of like, hey, we made it here, and he'll enjoy the week, I hope, just as much as I do.
All right, I have not had a chance to ask you this since you've been on the LPGA tour. Was there a moment, hey, I'm playing with who? Like, did you have like a fangirl moment yet?
I got to play last year with Stacey Lewis as well as Anna Norquist, so former Solheim Cup captain and a current Solheim Cup captain. I mean, that's pretty special to play with people that kind of represent, our sport like that. So, yeah, there's moments every day. I pinch myself. I'm very lucky to have this job and to keep at it.
Well, you've played some unbelievable courses. We talked to you. You're getting ready to go play Augusta. Now you're playing this one. Have you let your mind process that I've played some of the best there are in the world?
Yeah, man. I'm just really lucky, like really grateful. I think it's different playing here in a major. You see the build outs and the crowds and what KPMG is doing. And I mean, that not a lot of people get to do that. So I'm savoring every moment. Every Pro V1 on the range or free meal I get is pretty good out here. So.
Well, off of that, I was looking here while we were starting our interview. Television coverage is even expanded for this. Golf Channel's going to be on, I think, for 7 hours the next 2 days. NBC's got it this weekend. Obviously, the popularity is blown up. I watched Nelly Korda win the U.S. Women's Open a couple weeks ago. You're part of this swell of that. What's that mean to you?
Yeah, it's a great time to be in this sport. I'm really lucky. Craig Kessler, kind of our leader of our tour, has really amped up the coverage and the purses, and KPMG's kind of always been a leader of that. So to get the coverage is great. I think it shows that the venues really bring out the fans and the viewership. So, I mean, this venue, you won't get much better. So I'm glad I'm a part of the boom, because I think women's golf can really go some places in the next 5 to 10 years. So I hope I'm a part of it.
All right. So you prefer playing early or playing late? I mean, you got to go early tomorrow. Would you like that, or you like playing later in the day?
I think it'll be nice to be early this time for sure, to get some rest in between the rounds. I've been doing a lot of late earlies, and you kind of sink the putt at 7 p.m. and you get up at 5 a.m. and it's kind of a whirlwind. So it'll be nice to have some rest on a challenging golf course.
Two last things, and I really appreciate you doing this. Is there been anybody that's reached out that you haven't heard from in forever? Like, hey, I need a ticket, or hey, I didn't know you're playing. Did you have anything like that?
Yeah, a lot of good lucks, and I hope I can be there, or I'll be watching, which is nice, because I think people that have played Minnesota golf, they know, man, the girls I played high school golf with and amateur golf with, I still keep up with. I still follow what they're doing, and them for me. So it's nice, just that culture is really supportive, and nice to see familiar faces. If I can give people a reason to come out to the golf course this week, that would be great.
Last thing, when you hear your name announced tomorrow in your home state, what do you think is going to go through your mind?
Oof, yeah, it's going to be a lot of emotions for sure. I mean, really, I wouldn't be here without growing up in Detroit Lakes and that culture. So I'm going to really appreciate what everybody's done for me to get here. I mean, all of my sponsors pretty much are from the Midwest and Minnesota. So it's kind of a big celebration that, hey, we made it. So it's awesome.
All right, I lied. I had one more because you mentioned your sponsors. I saw you tweeted out, do you have snacks in your bag? Do you have like licorice, like Wiley Wallaby sponsors you? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Wiley Wallabies had been my bag sponsor for 5 years. So I have a big red bag, and I usually keep it stocked with licorice and give it to the volunteers and the fans. So, hey, they've been a great sponsor, really supportive out of Perm, Minnesota. So it's been a cool journey to take those people with me that really supported me no matter what status I had.
Do you snack on them as well, or no? You got to stay away from that.
I'd say the caddies really like the bag and the snacks. I don't know if I eat them as much, but
I know you're super busy. Thanks so much for carving out a few minutes for us. Good luck this weekend. Have a blast, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Good seeing you.
Bye-bye.
Kate Smith-Stroh joining us from Hazeltine National Golf Course there in Chaska, in the middle of her practice round, getting ready for the KPMG LPGA Championship. Begins tomorrow at Hazel. That was awesome. I've had the good fortune of knowing the Smith family for 15 years. When Kate burst on the scene in 2011, I'm going to say, and I remember I was begging Jeff Nelson, our news director upstairs, like, we got to go to Jordan. That's where the Class AA state golf meet is. And he's like, we're not going to Jordan. Like, Jeff, there's an 8th grader there. Detroit Lakes boys and girls are both really good. She could win this thing. And she ended up winning in her 8th grade year, her 9th grade year, 10th grade, 11th, and 12th. Obviously went on to Nebraska. She won a Big Ten championship with the Huskers. I think we had her on when she got the official invitation to go to the Augusta Women's National Amateur, and we talked to her there. And we talked to her right after she got her LPGA Tour card a couple of years ago, and now she's going to be about to play in her second major championship. So that's fantastic, and it's a tough grind, folks. I think we've highlighted Tom Hoagie's been on our show more times than I can count, and Tom has regaled us in stories of how difficult professional golf life is, and to hear it from her as well. She's bouncing between tours right now, between the Epsom Tour and the main LPGA Tour, and trying to get back on that full status. It is not an easy life, and this weekend, a nice bright spot, and hopefully she goes out there and plays well, maybe makes the cut and gets the chance to play 4 rounds at Hazeltine. That's awesome. I really appreciate her doing that. For those wanting to watch, coverage begins tomorrow, 10 a.m. on the Golf Channel. So we'll see if Kate gets on. She tees off. She's literally the first off the tee tomorrow at 7 a.m., and then they're back at 5 to 7. So shout out to them as well, to the LPGA for saying, you know what, people are interested in it. People want to watch. They're going to up the ante on television coverage, and they've certainly responded in that. So good stuff there with Kate, and we wish her luck. And for Detroit Lakes, this is a huge deal for you guys this weekend. Already had enough in the spotlight with our guy Adam Thielen. This is a big deal as well. Producing another professional athlete there on the LPGA Tour. Let's break. We'll get reset up. We come back. We'll try and update as best we can as well. Bison football waiting for hopefully a positive result that they will be postseason eligible this fall. Hot Mic rolls on. We're back on WDAY Extra right after this. Welcome back, everybody. Just reading a couple other stories. Star Tribune did a story on Kate as well. She's using that graphic design major. She's designed the logos at a couple of golf courses, Windsong Farm as well. She designed the logo for that. She loves that. I know we talked to her about that in past interview. They all kind of blend together sometimes when you talk to someone as often as I have with her, but we haven't done that. So there's another on the old checklist for what we've done on our show here, that we've taken the show to Ireland. We were at the Olympics in Italy in February. We've done this show from some variety of really cool locales. That one will be up there as well, right before the start of a golf major. That's pretty cool. And for the women that are going to be competing this weekend at the Red River Am for the event we're televising, she's right there as as one of the pinnacles to look at. Say, she's playing a major championship right down the road. She slugged it out in college, came from this part of the world, knowing full well the conditions and how difficult it was. To go and do that, it's pretty darn cool. And our appreciation for her giving us a few minutes. I want to spend just a couple minutes here on the other big topic we're waiting on from the Division I cabinet. That obviously centers around Bison football and the proposal that was sent forth from the FBS Oversight Committee that happened at the middle of May to allow transitioning FCS teams to FBS to be immediately bowl eligible in regards to both North Dakota State and Sacramento State for the upcoming year. And I'm just looking at the cabinet roster is made up of 20 members, 8 representatives from the autonomy conferences, and they have more sway in the room. Like, their votes count double, if that makes sense. You have 2 representatives from the non-autonomy football bowl subdivision conferences, which I believe the commissioner of the MAC is there, which, granted, he would have a stake in this because he has a school now directly involved, being Sacramento State. 3 representatives from the football championship subdivision conferences, and then 3 representatives from the Division I subdivision conferences. Matt Larson is a member of this cabinet. And what I didn't have clear, and Matt is scheduled to join us tomorrow here in studio, is can he be in the room? Does he get to vote on this? Because some don't have voting rights on this. I think Matt is there representing the Summit League, which doesn't have a stake in this because they're not a football bowl subdivision conference. The Summit League doesn't sponsor football. That I don't know if he can vote or has to sit silently while the fate of his football team is decided upon. But there are some heavy hitters here. The assistant commissioner of the SEC, Matt Boyer, is in the room. That's going to carry some big sway. Let's see. John Steinbrecher is in there. He's the commissioner of the MAC. He's in the room. John Curry is in the room. He's the AD at Wake Forest. He used to be the AD at Kansas State before Gene Taylor got that job. I believe he was the one that scheduled the North Dakota State-Kansas State game in 2013. Let's see. You've got Washington State's deputy AD is in the room. Then you have a handful, as I mentioned, of FCS schools. You've got University of New Hampshire's AD is in there. Michigan State's deputy AD, Jennifer Smith, is in the room. These are the ones that they've tried to work over. Here's one that is a big proponent of NDSU. Rick George is in the room. He's the AD at Colorado. We talked to Rick prior to the Bison-Colorado game in the summer of 2024 that he had no hesitation about scheduling North Dakota State. I believe that's a proponent of this. And, again, I'll reiterate for the 100th time on this story since we broke it back in March, typically, and I say typically because it's not automatic, but once something is advanced out of committee, it normally is rubber stamped at this level. It was advanced out of the committee. It had unanimous support at that level, at the FBS Oversight Committee level, that typically when it gets here, then it gets signed off on. But there's no, I was looking for an agenda online, which I could not find. I'm just looking here. The last time they met, the cabinet did it, was June 5th, earlier this month. The major thing they talked about there was the eligibility model, which obviously they signed off on. I'm looking at the May minutes that came out, and obviously the eligibility was a big part of that. They had no action items, so they're saving everything. I mean, there's a couple other things they're going to talk about, including transfers and penalties for tampering, which is ironic considering what happened in Grand Forks a couple weeks ago. I know that's a big topic. So this may be something that, for our sake, I was hoping in the next half hour that we'd have some news to share. So far, nothing, but maybe that happens when the commission's on here in the next few minutes. But if anything, it happens earlier than later so that we have a full time to flesh this out for our newscast tonight. But that's where we're at right now. And for those wondering as well, we're 3 weeks out, I believe, from Mountain West Media Days. The Mountain West still has not identified its bowl official tie-ins for 2026, something I've been working on here for the better part of almost a month since the Bowls announced its affiliations at the beginning of June, I want to say. We're still in the dark on where the Mountain West champion is going. That's bar none. Regardless if North Dakota State is in it or not, for our purposes, we'd like to know what bowl game is the Mountain West champ going to. If they're not in the college football playoff, where are they going? Because the bowl game that they used to go to is no longer. That's the LA Bowl. So we'll wait and see. Again, you have to win 6 games. You can only count one against an FCS team. We saw last year Missouri State and Delaware, both in their initial years of FBS football, both went to bowl games. Now, why that was the case, because they didn't have enough teams to field. They would be eligible as well. This is not just including these two schools. For Mo State and Delaware, they've got a stock in this fight, because then their 2-year ban is over. They would be immediately eligible starting this fall as well. So we'll wait and see if something comes to pass, hopefully in the next half hour, if not, sometime later today. But that's the latest we can tell you on the other major topic that's going on at the cabinet meeting, which apparently is, I guess, a Zoom. It's not even a formal in-person meeting, is how I was told. Let's break. We come back. Speaking of a commissioner, the commissioner of the Summit League will join us, Josh Fenton, on what's ahead for his conference, especially with one less member coming up this year. That's coming up when we come back. Welcome back, everybody. Final half hour here on a busy Wednesday show. Tomorrow will be packed to the gills as well. Then, of course, Friday we're live on location out at Moray Country Club for this year's Bell Bank River Amateur Championship. Looking forward to that. Hot topic today, obviously, we hit it hard and heavy in the first hour, was the NCAA signing off on the new 5-for-5 eligibility model that'll take place officially beginning in the fall of 2027. That's a topic we want to hit. Plenty more with the commissioner of the Summit League, Josh Fenton, joins us here on a Wednesday morning. If you missed it last week, the league announced a new extension of its media rights agreement with CBS Sports Network to continue televising the Summit League basketball championships, along with extension of regular season games and extending its deal with Midco. It's good to see you, bud. How you been?
Great to see you, Dom. Thanks for having me. Happy summer.
Well, as you know, as a commissioner of a collegiate conference, there is no Division I one. There's no downtime. We talked about the 5-for-5 eligibility model in March, and it was still getting fleshed out, Josh, at that point. Ironically, it looks like the college hockey powers that be got it over the finish line. Give me your take on why this is the best way going forward.
Well, one, as everybody knows, we've been living in an environment where the legal implications that have come to college athletics around eligibility are fast and furious right now. And the eligibility model previously, prior to yesterday's action, we all believed in, which was you had 4 seasons of competition over 5 years. But there was also waivers that were allowed throughout that process. And, the waivers really put us in a difficult spot from a legal standpoint. And so basing eligibility off of age, and it's really an age-based eligibility model, because that's what's done in a lot of other organizations, seem to be the right move. And tethering the model and the ages around when traditionally students are entering higher education is also the right move. We have to stay tethered and connected. Athletic experience needs to stay tethered to the educational experience. And the data showed the NCAA and us as the members, as this model was being developed, that a high majority were entering college basically right after their high school graduation. And so trying to create an age-based eligibility model around that time frame, knowing that it would be tethered to education, was the right move. It did go through a little bit of an evolution, because it was originally the year of your 19th birthday or the year of your high school graduation or the fall after your high school graduation, whichever is earlier, to the year of enrollment or the year of your 19th birthday, whatever is earlier. And so the college hockey community was influential in that. The men's basketball oversight committee was very influential at the very end. The basketball coaches through the NABC and the Coaches Association was very influential at the end. But obviously, hockey has been talking about this ever since the model was being developed. And so it's now through the cabinet and will start to go into place this coming fall. And there's some nuance regarding those that have already delayed enrollment that people have read about. But it's the right move, and it puts us on a good track in terms of eligibility timeframe.
Josh, I know it has to start somewhere for the athletes that are either just graduated or the ones that are going to be seniors. There's no extension there of their eligibility. I know you got to start it somewhere, but how do you handle that, knowing there are some that say, well, wait a minute now, you're going to do this, and I could have had an extra year, but now I'm done.
Yeah, it's a difficult question, difficult thought. There's a legal lens that's put around this for sure. There's also a lens around those that are in high school and those that are graduating high school. What type of kind of logjam do you create by adding additional years of eligibility for those that have finished their 4 seasons over 5 years? And so it's a bit of a balancing act. And, ultimately the data showed that for those that exhausted their eligibility in this spring, that they wouldn't be getting an additional year, but that those that were entering next year would have a model apply that's in their best interest. So either the old model or the new model. My guess is it's mostly going to be the new model. Yeah. I think the old model could be applied to, say, hockey players that have delayed their enrollment already for a couple of years because of that rule that they previously had. And then obviously when you have students enter in the fall of 2027, that's the first full year of, everybody will come in under the age-based eligibility model. And so a lot of those factors were at play in determining, when to start, who got the eligibility and whatnot.
I want to say I can't remember what year it was when I was in Sioux Falls with you and you were heading to Washington, D.C. or coming back from Washington, D.C., but obviously the Protect College Sports Act is something that the league is certainly in favor of. The Dakota schools, I know, all signed off. How do you explain this to the average fan that just goes to the Summer League tournament, how this can affect what they see on the basketball court?
Yeah. Do we have 2 hours?
I don't have that. No, I don't.
No, I know you don't. I know you don't. So I think a few things here. One, we've been living recently in an environment, and I've talked already a little bit about this, where we've had some challenges. We've had some challenges around enforcing transfer regulations that really cannot be enforced because of federal injunctions. Right. Based upon an agreement with some attorney generals that more in the east to southeast part of the country. We had an eligibility model that was and continues to be challenged in court. We had put together what I'll call a student athlete compensation model that was codified through the House settlement structure, which allowed for institutional NIL, third-party NIL. That did have framework around it based upon the House settlement structure that is constantly being challenged today. And so, we're living in an environment where things that are central and key to us being a healthy organization moving forward were in flux. And so the only way really that we were able to kind of get this solved and hopefully can get it solved is through some help from the federal government and Congress. And there's been a few different types of efforts, the SCORE Act, right. Now more recently, a bipartisan bill. And that's key, Dom, is that it's a bipartisan bill. It came out of committee last week with a 19-9 vote, which is a bipartisan vote.
Yep.
And it has key aspects to it. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect, but it has key aspects to it that are important for us to operate in a sensible way moving forward. Rules around transfers, rules around eligibility, rules around student athlete benefits, rules around agents. We haven't even talked about agents.
Yeah. Yep.
Rules around the NIL compensation structure. Those are generally addressed. There's nuances in there. But if you have those that are addressed and then you have some protection through some limited antitrust protection, an ability to preempt some of the state laws that are out there that have been put in place for competitive advantages, we hopefully can get to a better, healthy ecosystem and allow our coaches and programs to operate more effectively in the future without having to worry about is a kid transferring every single year?
Right.
Is the kid going to challenge eligibility for a sixth, the seventh year, which is what we're seeing right now. And so, like I said, far from perfect. We're going to continue to work with lawmakers to strengthen the bill in other areas. But, we continue to support moving this thing through the Senate process.
Well, a week from today, the league will be at 8 members, the Summit League, with Denver departing. Give us an update on membership and where things stand on potential new members coming in.
Yeah, I'll give you two things. One, we had meetings like we always do around this time of year with Joint Council in mid-May, when Joint Council's athletic directors and senior administrators in the athletics department. And then we had another meeting in early June with our presidents and athletic directors, and a part of that is presidents alone. The theme that came out of, especially the presidents and the ADs discussion, is that we have 8 members that are committed to building a very healthy Summit League. 8 members that see the advantage of kind of who we can be with the group that we have right now, whether it's a shorter path to an AQ, whether it's revenue distribution to members that can be shared, their slice of the pie is maybe a little bit bigger, more schools participating in our championships. And so we talked a lot about that. We also talked a lot about the similarities that the members that will exist on July 1 have with one another and how we've been together. So that's number one. Number two, and it's the same similar story that I've told you in the past. I think we're a little more intentional around it right now, is that we have a lens around expansion. We're looking very closely, in particular in a regional way, like-minded institutions, expanding the net a little bit wider to look at Division I's, Division II's, but those that want to be aligned with what I've always believed are 8 incredibly strong institutions when you talk about state flagships, strong regional publics, healthy financial privates, which is a unique thing in today's world. And so that effort is ongoing and will continue to be ongoing. And I do think we will have some opportunities in the future. But what gives me a good feeling about kind of that effort in the future is that we've got 8 members that have indicated and signaled a commitment to one another in various ways through the meetings that we've had over the past month or so. And so we understand that the number itself, an 8, can be a little bit thin, and there's challenges related to scheduling and things of that nature. But we also want to continue to be very thoughtful around who the expansion opportunities are because of the committed group that we have right now.
Josh, for the conference basketball tournaments, does that format change, or do you just say we're doing 3 days or 4 days instead of the 5 that you have done over the past couple of years?
Yeah, that's correct. It's pretty simple. The 8-9 game on Wednesday afternoon evenings go away, and the quarterfinals start on Thursday. If you recall, Dom, we're not that far removed from having 8 institutions at the tournament. Yep. And so basically that same format.
Let me go to, you just mentioned, like for baseball, would you consider going to 6 like you have in softball for that conference tournament?
So we have a provision in our bylaws that allows sports to earn expansion in the number of teams at the tournament if they hit a certain RPI or whatever statistical metric that sport uses, net, if we're talking about basketball, that is at a certain point over a 3-year period compared to the rest of the country. And so, for instance, sports like women's soccer, volleyball, softball, they've hit that. Basketball is obviously a little different deal. Baseball hasn't quite gotten there yet, and so as of right now, we're going to have a 4-team baseball championship like we've seen recently. But we're constantly talking about field sizes, and the Joint Council reaffirmed that, hey, the success metric around expanding the field size is still the right approach.
We only have a couple minutes left here, so I want to ask on the new media deal. People, Josh, see on the outside, obviously, the struggles that Midco Sports has had lately. Tell me the decision why to re-up with them, knowing on the outside it seems like there's some real financial struggles going on with them.
Yeah, well, one, they've been a great partner. And two, they've committed, including with now a new technology stack and revamp with Midco Sports Plus, they've committed at a high level to streaming. And we've had a great experience with them. And, they checked a lot of boxes as we went through this process. And the process was very exhaustive. We looked at any and all options, both on the streaming side and obviously on the linear side. But when it came down to the ability to provide a branded network to the fans with a new technology platform that will be a better experience for fans than what they've seen, expanded revenue to the league fairly significantly, international distribution, the ability for our schools that have local and regional linear deals, TV deals like an NDSU and a WDAY to maintain those deals and not have restrictions on those deals was also important. Accessing data, the ability to utilize data to tailor experiences to fans and directly communicate with fans from a revenue generating standpoint, kind of all of that combined. They've been a good partner, but we had a lot of conversations with them about their future and where they're going as an organization. And we were given a lot of comfort and a lot of information that said, hey, we're committed to building a robust streaming platform, and we see the Summit League being the bellwether of that streaming platform. And here's how we're going to show you that we appreciate you as the Summit League. And so ultimately, kind of when all of that was put together and we looked at obviously the other options, the membership felt most comfortable with extending the relationship with Midco.
I got about 8 more questions. I'm out of time, though. I appreciate this. Have a great holiday, and we'll catch up soon, okay?
Sounds good. Thanks, Dom. Anytime.
There he
Take
is,
care.
Josh Fenton, Commissioner of the Summit League, joining us here on everything happening around college athletics, including the re-up with Midco. And I know there were plenty that talked about that. I missed last week, so I'm sure if Sam hit on it, but I would say there were some eyebrows probably raised on it, certainly knowing the Midco Sports struggles and their lack of on-air talent right now, that decision. If I had more time, maybe we'll carve out some more tomorrow to chat about that. But we got a break. We'll do it now. We come back. We'll wrap things up, get you ready for Ohtani and Joe Ryan, and we got to show you the play from the Twins game last night. We'll do that when Hot Mike wraps after this. All right, wrapping things up here on a busy Wednesday. Tomorrow, we're scheduled to have North Dakota State Athletic Director Matt Larson join us. Also, former WDAY sports anchor Zach Staten will be with us in studio. Zach is the voice of the firefighters, part of the Savannah Bananas League. Of course, that's in town this weekend, I believe Friday and Saturday at Newman Outdoor Field. He's the play-by-play guy. So we'll have Zach for a lot of viewers will be excited to have him back with us. He's been gone, for 4 years now, which is crazy. So he'll be here in studio tomorrow to give us the lowdown on that. All right, I've been teasing it since the start of the show. I finally found the video, so we got to do it before we go to what to watch. Luke Keyshaw yesterday in the Twins-Dodgers game. This is what I'm not sure what he throws it to nobody, and that allowed the Dodgers to score a run. They made it 2-1. That wasn't even the worst of it. He had another one here where, like, what is that? That is not going to do it in Major League Baseball, folks. Not when you're – no. Stop. Let's do what to watch. And you can see that kind of defense tonight against Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers, 6:30 on Twins TV. Scotland and Brazil, that should be fun in the stands. 5 o'clock on Fox on the World Cup and round 2 of the NBA draft. That's on ESPN exclusive tonight at 7 o'clock. Our thanks to Josh Fenton, to Kate Smith-Stroh, and to Drew Trafton. You missed any of the show, you can podcast it later today at Inforum.com. You can watch a full replay on WDAY+. Have a great Wednesday, everybody. We'll see you back here tomorrow.